All right, if everybody can come onto their back, feet on the floor, knees up. Begin to just take a moment here to sense your body, back of your body, back of the skull. Allow the arms to drape away from your sides. Begin to move side to side, just with your butt, reaching it around a little bit. Maybe move your shoulders, lifting your buttocks up and down. And just allow the body to settle. I'm grateful that you chose this time to come to your mat. And I just want you to begin to let go from the top of the head down to the tailbone. So inhale through the nose, expanding through the lower abdomen, and exhale. Inhale, and exhale. On the next time you go to exhale, begin to contract the navel center to the spine, press the feet into the floor, and sense how the entire spine draws downward towards your heels. And then when you go to inhale, begin to allow the lower back to come off the floor, off of your mat, with the butt remaining on the mat, and go back and forth a few times. Slow, deep, even breaths. Sensing whatever it is that you begin to sense along the spinal column, down to the sacrum and tailbone. Inhaling, the lower back comes off the floor, the hips and the ribs move away from each other. And as you exhale, the hips and the ribs come closer together as you draw the navel center to the spine, pressing into your mat, into the floor. We'll do that maybe 3 more times. It's a wonderful way to wake up your spine, to rest your spine, and begin to sense all the places where your body has been holding tension. During these difficult times, it's very easy to get caught up in sitting a lot or doing various things, but our body accumulates all of that. And now when you go do your next exhalation, I'm going to ask you to bring your right foot off the floor and wrap your hands around your knee or around your thigh. If you have a belt or a strap and you can't reach, bring your strap to your thigh and hold the strap, keeping your shoulders down and keeping your wrist facing each other. We're going to take a few breaths here with the left foot on the floor. So as you exhale, contract the navel center to the spine and press your left foot down into the floor. And purposely draw your shoulders and shoulder blades down. I'm rocking my head from side to side just to release any tension that might have accumulated through my evening or night's sleep. If you feel comfortable here, you're welcome to eventually straighten your left leg. And just breathe into whatever the sensations are, just warming up the body. We'll take 2 more breaths here. You know, everything that you see on COVID-19 and on stress talks about breath. At the end of that, bring your left foot onto the floor, bring your right foot down. During this time away from all of you, and exhale, contract the lower back and come to the left side. Keep pressing through the lower back and the right foot. I've spent more time in meditation, more time in my practice, being able to focus on my breath, slowing everything down. And if that is something that you have not been able to do it now. Rest in your awareness of breathing and notice whatever it is that you happen to notice. Your health depends on your breath, on the quality of your breathing, inhaling and exhaling. 2 more breaths now. Inhaling, belly expands. Exhale, belly contracts. And when you're done, place the right foot back on the floor. Lower the left foot to the floor. Rest in constructive rest pose. Rock your head from side to side. And then take your arms overhead. Contract the navel center to the spine. We're going to come into bridge. If this doesn't work for you, you're welcome to come into goal pose. You're welcome to have your arms by your side. You can even have your hands resting on your lower abdomen. Whatever works for you, contract the navel center to the spine. As you exhale, pressing the feet into the floor, lift your buttocks, your tailbone, and your lower back off the floor. Draw the shoulder blades downward and lift the hips upwards. We'll take 5 breaths here. Keep that contraction going. Glutes are engaged. And shoulders and shoulder blades are down. When you're ready to come down, you can keep your arms here or lower your arms down and roll down one shoulder blade, one vertebrae down at a time, drawing the shoulder blades down, and eventually bring the knees into the chest and rock side to side. Let's take the knees a little bit wider than hip width apart. Take your hands onto the outside of the knees. Some of you will put a blanket or a pillow underneath you, and you're just going to rock. We're going to come into happy baby. Some of you will stay right here, and others of you keep your knees right where they are, but bring your ankles directly over your knees. And some of you will stay here, while others of you can bring your hands to your feet and rock side to side, straightening one leg, if that works for you. And then bring the soles of your feet together. And again, if you're tight in the hips, put your feet on the ground. You can put them on a blanket, a pillow, a block. But if you can hold your shins, allow the hips to open, allowing the inner thighs to release away from you, drawing your legs away from your body. Lift your chin if that works for you, and you'll feel the lower back slightly off the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. And then draw your legs up to the ceiling, point your toes, and press through the heels. And make rotations with your ankles. And then open your legs wide. Inhale, point your toes, and exhale, press through the heels. And then bring your legs back together. Bring your knees into your chest, rock side to side. Roll over to your side. And come into table. If you're not coming into table for your hands and your knees, you're going to come sitting in a chair or on the side of your bed or whatever you have, a table, and you're going to rock forward and back. So we're going to come onto table, onto our hands and our knees. And we're going to exhale. We're going to contract the navel center to the spine, pulling the lower belly towards the back of the body. And then inhale, draw the belly down, broaden the collarbones, tip the tailbone up, and go back and forth between these two places. Releasing the lumbar and getting into the shoulder blades. One of my favorites to do lately is to open up the knees Sling the belly over to the right and pull the belly in and up only under the right rib cage. And then inhale right back to center. Exhale, pull the belly in and up, rounding the lower back. And coming back to center one more time. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bring your belly over to the left, pull the belly in and up, right under the left rib cage, and inhale back to center. So this is sort of, I'm moving my body slightly to the left, pulling the belly in and up, pressing through my left hand. Inhale back to center. One more time. And then come back up, just come up to sitting for a minute. I want to demonstrate this one. This is rock around the clock. I know many of you have done this, but I want you to place your hand right at your navel center. Think of this as 12 o'clock. Then you're going to shift your hand over to your right rib cage. This is 3 o'clock. Draw it up to the sternum or the top of the psoas for 6 o'clock and over to 9 o'clock. So we're making a big circle. Okay? We'll go 3 times in one direction, then we're going to reverse this. So this is just about the belly. This is not moving the head or anything else. So come back to table. If you want to see me, I'll just do it a couple of times. We'll inhale the belly to 12 o'clock, down towards the floor. Shift over to the right, which is 3 o'clock. Over to the spine, which is 6 o'clock. And over to 9 o'clock to the left, and back down to 12 o'clock. So I want you to think about your navel center being the center of the clock. And you're moving with your breathing to the points on an analog clock of 12, 3, 6, and 9. This is wonderful for digestion. It builds digestive fire. All the things that we're doing today are great for your adrenals, for the stress areas of our body. And it's wonderful for the back. So let's come in the other direction. So we'll start at 12 o'clock, go to 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and back to 12. So if you're sitting in a chair, you might find this a little bit more challenging. Just do the best you can. We can also do this standing. And then from here, we're going to turn our toes under. We're going to place our hands, we're going to get into a downward dog position. So keep your knees hip width apart, pull the belly in and up, and take your head between your upper arms, getting a nice stretch on the back, and then pull the belly into the spine, lift your buttocks to the ceiling. You can pedal your feet. Once again, bend your knees, pull the belly in, and lengthen your spine. And we'll take 3 breaths here. Really notice how much you're pressing into the hands, dropping your shoulders. And then from here, you're going to walk your feet to your hands. We're going to come up to standing. Hi, everybody. Just take a moment in Tadasana and notice the sensations throughout your body. Depending what you have been doing over the last several weeks, depending on what you've been doing yesterday, will depend on how your body feels now. So take a moment here to adjust your feet. We're just going to simply roll our shoulders up, back, and down. And I'd like to suggest bending your elbows. So you get this nice opening under the armpits. You can feel your shoulders and shoulder blades moving up and down with your breathing. And one more time here. And then let's go in the other direction. So we'll squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift your shoulders up, and come forward. All right. And then just shake out the head, shake out your arms, be a little gungy, right? Okay. I'm going to come off of my mat because we're going to do some standing postures. And one of the things that it's helpful, especially for me, I right now have a cushion of 2 mats and very thick flooring of carpeting. If you have a harder surface and you're on your mat, you're probably just fine. What I'd like us to do, we're not going to do trees, so we're going to stand on one leg. We're going to stand on our right leg. I'd like you to take your hands to the top of your psoas and lift from the top of the psoas. As you do this, see if you can feel how the hip bones begin to come towards each other, or at least the pelvic floor is starting to pull in, and the quadricep of your standing leg gets nice and strong. I'd like you to put your hands wherever you feel comfortable and see if you can balance on one leg. Maybe you could just toe touch. Maybe you can bring your knee all the way up. And then come on down. Get anchored and rooted through the left leg. Lift the top of the psoas. Feel the quadricep engage. And then lift your leg. And lower it. And lift. We're going to do that one more time on each side. So come back to the right. Find your way of contracting, of pulling in and becoming energetically organized in the body from the foot over to the hip, and from the hip up to the top of the shoulder and to the top of the head. When we have everything in line, it becomes easier to balance. So you know in class, I've talked about where your heel or toes are. So keep that in mind, that if your toes turn in or out, you're going to find it more challenging to be able to stack the bones, because we want to use the bones. We want the muscles to become stronger and more stable. This is what gives us good health. And if you have anything that you have to accommodate from injuries or diseases, that's something that we have to do. So if we have to hold a wall, we don't feel steady enough, we have to hold a chair, we do that. Okay. Let's lower down, take your feet a little wider apart, and make big circles. So you're going to think again that clock. So you can feel your belly, not just your hips moving, but your belly also moving. Let's go the other way. And then shake all that out. We're going to come to the short edge of our mat. Have your blocks handy if you're using blocks. You can also use a chair. So if you would prefer to have a chair, I'm just going to bring my squeaky little chair here. If you were going to use a chair for a sun salutation, you can have your chair here so that you can use it for forward bend if you don't have blocks. You can use it for lunge. You can even use it for cobra or downward dog. So that's up to you if you would care to use the chair. Okay. So we're going to come to the short edge of our mat. I'm going to get my blocks. I have very heavy blocks. Okay. Bring your hands into prayer position. And I'm going to ask you to consider where your shoulders are. So draw your shoulders down. If your hands move down, that's perfectly fine. And then inhale your arms out to the sides, turn your palms up, and reach to the ceiling. Stretch one side longer than the other. And then pull the lower abdomen in, bend your knees, lift through the sit bones, hinge forward to forward bend, wherever that might be for you. And then we're going to place the hands on the floor, and we're going to step back to table or downward dog. We're going to take 3 breaths here, bending at your knees, pressing through the hands, contracting the navel center. If there's anybody that wants to place their left foot on the floor, they can lift their right leg up, bend through the right knee, and gaze through your right armpit. And then you're going to take that leg through and place it on the floor. Your knee is down. And you can choose to use blocks or not, that's up to you. But begin to contract the navel center, begin to lift the top of the psoas. Your hands can be on your blocks, they can be in prayer position, they can be in goal post. They can even be overhead. You can interlace your hands, take your index finger up, and get a nice stretch through the side laterals of the body. Or you can roll your shoulders up, back, and down, and clasp your hands behind you. From here, we'll take our hands back to the floor. We're going to turn our back toes under. We're going to step our back foot forward, back to forward bend. Arms out to the sides, come all the way up. and let the hands come into prayer position and back down to his chest. Stay in the direction facing your short edge of your mat. Inhale your arms out to the sides, turn your palms up, reach all the way up to the ceiling, bring your palms together and down to the heart. Inhale. And this time we're going to bend our knees and come into forward bend, and we're going to come all the way back up. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale into forward bend and back into downward facing dog. This time, if you want to, lift your left leg. Bend through your left knee, opening up your left hip joint, gazing through your left armpit, and take a nice, long, deep breath or two. And then from here, step your left foot forward, coming into lunge, or sometimes called monkey pose. Hands into prayer position, goalpost, overhead, or roll your shoulders up, back, and down, squeezing through your shoulder blades if you're doing that. And then from here, take your hands down to the floor, turn your back toes under. This time, step back to table or downward facing dog. Take 3 breaths here, and then come into your child's pose. I know not everybody feels comfortable in child's pose. If you're not comfortable in child's pose, just lay on your belly and come into crocodile with your hands at your elbows. Move my mat slipped. All right, and then from here, everybody lower onto their belly into Sphinx posture with your hands out in front of you. And you can rock your pelvis side to side, flatten your toes, separate your fingertips. This is a wonderful posture just to get breath and get all the way down into the lower abdomen. You can take a moment to breathe into your lower belly. If you want to deepen this posture, 2 ways to do that. Simply turn your fingertips, your middle finger, towards the pointy edge of your mat. Lift your forearms off the floor, or you can grab your mat and lift. All right. And if that is comfortable for you and you want a deeper back bend, because back bend is what releases the rounding, the forwardness that we all probably have from too much sitting, too much laying. Bend your knees. If that's too much on your back, please don't do that. Please listen to your body. And then we'll release down. Take the hands towards the lower, towards the chest, below your shoulders. This time we're going to engage the legs. So press the tops of the feet, quadriceps engage, shoulders are down, and breathe. So you can feel the belly rising and falling on your mat. At the end of the 3rd breath, you're going to turn your toes under. You can come back to table and come back into downward dog and walk your feet to your hands and come back up to standing. Voila. Our bodies feel different. We probably have found places in our body that we haven't used in a while, which is good. Let's take a moment here just to give yourself a big hug. Take your hands to your shoulders and release your shoulders downward, but lift your elbows upwards. So draw your shoulders downward, shoulder blades down, but lift your elbows upwards. And then from here, draw your elbows down, release your arms, and get a little swing going, forward and back. Be gentle with yourself. You can let the arms come behind your head if you'd like. Get a little bit more opening from the work that you just did in Sphinx and Cobra. And then release, shake everything out. We're going to come into Warrior One, and then I'm going to direct you into Warrior Two from Warrior One. I like this because it is a good hip opener. We're not about being perfecting today. It's just about getting a little bit of an opening to release some of our tensions from probably, as I said, too much sitting and not doing enough of anything else. And if you've been walking, it also helps with walking because when you walk, certain muscles will tighten up. Okay? So again, come to the short edge of our mat. I'm going to suggest placing your hands on your hips, on the front of your pelvic bones, or the back of your pelvic bones, wherever you want. What you're looking for, remember, to keep your hips even as you take the right leg straight back. So when you're ready, we'll take the right leg straight back, turn your right toes slightly out to bring that right hip forward. Bend through your front knee and press through the outer edge of your back heel. Then take your hands to the top of your psoas and lift the top of the psoas. As you can see, you have a little bit of a nice little bend in your back of your body. Take your arms out to the sides, turn your palms up, rotate the thumbs backwards, and you might choose to stay here, keeping the shoulders out of the work. You can bring your arms into gull pose, or you can interlace your hands, take your index finger straight up, and bring your elbows behind your ears, and you get this nice elongation of your spine. Breathe 3 times, contracting the navel center to the spine, pressing the feet into the floor. From here, release your arms, straighten your front leg. We're going to pivot. We're going to lift the left toes and turn them in. We're going to turn the right toes out. Our legs will not be in the right place here. So you're going to move yourself so that you can sense your knee directly over your ankle. So now my knee is in line with my second and third toe. If you draw a straight line from your knee to your hip joint, where you put your hand on your hip joint, it draws straight down to the knee. If your knee is forward or caved in, move your foot, move your leg so that you get the hip bone in line with that knee joint. And now your knee joint is directly over the hip joint. Place your hands on your hips, turn your back heel out, press down, and take your arms out to the sides. We'll take 3 breaths here. You can also be sitting on a chair and doing this, taking one leg to the back and the other leg forward. We're going to turn the front palm up, drop the back arm down, lift the top arm up, and gaze up at your fingertips or down at your heel. And then inhale up, straighten the leg, and turn your right toes back in, left toes back out, adjust yourself again, and come back to Warrior One. Take your back leg forward. Wonderful. Notice how you feel standing in Tadasana. Notice that you obviously feel off balance, so we have to do the other side. But notice where the stretches came in, where you might be feeling tension or tightness there, and where you went, oh, that feels so good just to be back in my body. Back on our mat. Okay? So when we're ready, hands on your hips, front of your hips, back of your hip bones, wherever is comfortable. And pick up your left leg, bring it straight back, turn your left toes out, bend at your right knee. So notice the top of the psoas lifts and you get this nice opening on the front of the body. Notice if any of you feel the sense of a contraction of pulling in. So as I exhale, that quadricep of my back leg really engages and it presses down into the outer heel. Front knee bends, arms come out to the sides, palms come in the goal post or overhead, contracting and breathing. When you're ready, you're going to lift your right toes and turn them in. You're going to turn your left toes out. I'm probably backwards to you right now. Take your hand onto the left hip joint and notice where your left knee is. So you're going to move your entire leg so that your left hip joint is in a straight line with my knee joint. And my knee joint is a straight line over my ankle joint. Okay. My back heel is turned out. My back toes are slightly turned in. Now I'm going to contract the navel center to the spine, lifting the top of the psoas. And you're going to feel that engagement in your feet and in your quads, your back leg. Okay. Take your arms out to the sides and gaze over your left fingertips, breathing in and breathing out. And then drop your back arm, turn your front arm up, reverse warrior, looking up at your fingers or down at your heels. Getting a nice stretch, breathing into your left rib cage. Now this time we're not going to come back to warrior one. We're going to take our left arm down, straighten our left leg, turn your left toes in. So now we have both feet with the toes slightly turned in. Bend at the knees, push the knees out, pull the lower belly in and hinge over towards the long edge of your mat. Many of you will put your hands on your body. Some of you will get your hands to the floor like I do, and some of you will be on blocks or even a chair. From here, pull the belly in and just breathe into the lower abdomen, rolling to your little toe side, pressing through the balls of the feet. If you want to deepen this, you can lift your hands up and go side to side. Getting into the inner groin muscles, the hip joints. You can see mom, no hands. Okay? We can also take our hands onto a block or onto the floor and push the block away from you, taking your head between your upper arms. Bending your knees if you're tight in the hamstrings. You can then walk that block back, turn your hands backwards, walk your fingertips back towards the back of your mat. And then to come out of this posture, you can either turn one foot to the short edge of your mat, coming into downward facing dog, or you can simply walk your toes, heels, toes, heels, toes, heels, and you come back to forward bend, grab your elbows, and then release and come all the way up to standing. So if you've gone into downward facing dog, walk your feet to your hands, come back to standing. We're going to come back to that balanced posture. Let's see if there's any difference. So when you're ready, stand on your right leg, bend your left knee, lift the top of the psoas, and see if you can find balance. Is it harder? Is it easier? Or no different? From here, you can come into tree. Oops. And we all fall. So sometimes I fall and I have to come back up and try again. There we go. So we'll take 3 breaths here, in whatever position you are, and then 3 breaths either in goalpost or with your arms overhead. And at the end of those 3 breaths, come on down. So some of us might just be balancing. Some of us might have our heel over our ankle. And some of us are coming all the way up with our knee in our inner groin, pressing the hands together, pressing the heel into the thigh, into goalpost, or overhead for an additional 3 breaths. And one side might be easier for you than the other. When you're done, come on down. Take your hands to your hips, take your feet a little wider apart, and just make little rotations with your lower back. If you do not have wrist issues, my suggestion is going to be that we do a little version of cat and cow. So take your hands, take your feet a little wider apart, take your hands onto your thighs. You'll notice my shoulders are up to my ears. I'll turn sideways so you can see this. And then we're going to do a little cat and cow here. So again, you can do this sitting in the chair. You can come into table. I like doing this in the morning because it really gets your digestion flowing. It also gets into your lower back all the way up to your shoulder blades. One more. And then come all the way up to standing. Take a moment in Tadasana with your hands in prayer position, eyes closed, or if you were in table, just stay in and come into child's pose or lay on your belly for a moment. Feel the coolness coming in and the warmth drawing out. Letting go of all your tensions, letting go of whatever your issues are today. And then bring your hands into prayer position. Inhale. And exhale, hinge forward into downward facing dog. And then let's just come onto our belly into cobra. And then we're just going to come right onto the belly. And I'm going to have you, I've been doing this a lot just because of doing a lot of sitting and a lot of standing. I've been in my kitchen a lot, and making a lot of breads, a lot of cookies for the family. And so when I get to my yoga mat, besides a lot of yin, a lot of floor work, I like doing a little bit of back bending. So I'd like to have you bring your right elbow in front of you, your right hand towards your left elbow, and just bend your left knee. For some of us, this is a great place. For others of you, you might be able to grab another few of you can grab your ankle. You can also use a strap here. If you're grabbing your ankle or not, your foot, you're going to have your foot flat towards the ceiling and engage that quadricep again, pressing as you exhale down into the floor. Take that left collarbone and bring it forward, or left shoulder blade and bring it forward, keeping your hip bones anchored, and then release. And we'll do the other side. Each side feels different. You're stretching that front of your thigh where we were just engaging it to stretch it, right? And then release. And then to release the back, some of you will come down into crocodile or just make a pillow and rock your legs side to side. Whoops. I had tea, that's why I looked. I didn't want to spill my tea. If not, you can press yourself back into an extended child's pose for the back, and even into a downward dog or a couple rounds of cat and cow even. All right. All right, so come back on, sit on your heels when you're ready. We're going to come up into high kneel. We're going to turn our toes under. Now, if you're somebody who can't be on the floor like this, feel free to sit in a chair or the edge of your, whatever you have around you, a credenza, a bed. You're going to put your hands, if you're using a chair or the bed, put your hands on the back of the chair, roll your shoulders up, back, and down, and you're good to go. If you're here, take your hands underneath onto the flesh, fingertips pointed down towards the tailbone. Turn your toes under and begin to contract the lower abdomen. And as I contract the lower abdomen, the top of the psoas, the heart center, begins to lift, and you'll engage that lower back. So you want to feel how your lower back is lengthening away from the tailbone. And you're in Ustrasana, camel. Now, again, a nice back bend. If you feel the need or feel that your body can go further, as mine is interested in doing, you can take your hands to your heels. But keep your hip bones right over your knee joints, and your head will come back. And when you're done, release and come back to sitting. So here we're going to just come onto the floor. If you have a blanket or my trusty little pillow that I use under my head sometimes and also underneath my butt. If you have your strap handy. You may or may not need it. And we'll bring the right leg up. Interlace your hands around your shin. And if you are like me, I use a rolled up pair of socks underneath my right knee. If you have tight hamstrings or like me, hyperextend your knee, having something underneath your straight leg is a benefit. So you're not overstretching wrong muscles. Contract navel center to spine. Lift the top of that psoas. Breathe here. We're going to come into a very gentle twist. We're going to take our left hand onto the outside of our right knee. We're going to keep our head straight as you take the back arm behind you. I'm going underneath my pillow onto the floor. Fingertips are towards my wall. I'm going to contract again, lifting. And as I lift, I'm going to allow my left ribs to rotate around to the right as I bring my right knee in towards the left. And that gives me a nice little twist. Make sure your head doesn't turn too far, but that you're turning from the lower abdomen. Breathe here. From here, come back to center. Take that knee, take that right leg and bring the knee towards the floor. Again, if you need a blanket or a block underneath you, remember your blocks have 3 levels, right? You're going to take the strap, if you have one, and place it right underneath the toes. Wrists face each other, lift through the heart, and come forward. If you don't have a strap, just simply lift from the top of the psoas, bring your hands onto your thighs or onto the floor on your fingertips. Lifting, don't drop the head, and come forward. And just notice what that's like. Take one more breath here, and then inhale up. I want to turn sideways. I want to show you something that I have been working on for a while from this posture. So we're going to come back to the right side. So your foot is out, but I'm showing you sideways because I want you to see what I'm doing with my hands. So as I come into this posture, I'm going to take my thumbs to the occiput, to the top ridge here. And I'm going to lift from the top of the psoas, and I'm going to push my fingertips in and lift. And that allows my entire spine to come further forward so that my head, my shoulders, and my spine are in alignment. I'd like you to come back into the posture and just try that. So take your thumbs, once you're in the posture, if you're not, and you don't want to use a strap here, obviously. All right, wherever you are, take your hands to the top of the ridge of your skull. Put your fingertips in towards the ridge in that hole there, in and push up. And as you do that, you're contracting the navel center and hinging forward. Just a little tidbit there that worked for you. And then come up. And we'll go to the other side. So now you've got a hold of the right leg, excuse me, the left leg. Going into the twist. Lifting from the top of the psoas, take your right hand onto the left knee, left hand behind you, lift nice and tall, and then move the right ribs around to the left. And breathe into the lower abdomen and into the sides of the ribs. And then inhale back to center. And let's try on the other side now. So if you're ready, pull the belly in and up, hinge forward, take the hands to the top of the ridge of the skull, lift, and see if you can get all the way down your spine. There's a direct connection between the lower spine and the neck and the head. So we're trying to access that to get out of tension. And take one more breath here. And we'll inhale up. We'll exhale, release. Rock your legs. And open up your legs. And just rock side to side. And take the soles of your feet together. Again, if you're tight, put the block underneath the feet. And you don't need anything underneath your butt. If you're not so tight on your hips, just grab a hold of your shins. Lift through the heart and hinge forward. That same thing will work here. If you put your hands at the top of the ridge and you lift, you're going to feel the shoulder blades rolling down, and that engages you to open a little bit more. Okay? And for those of you who are a little bit more flexible and want a little bit more challenge, when you're done, come up, and everybody can try this. It's just fun. Take your thumb to your big toenail. You're not sitting on anything, you try to balance. I'm going to go sideways here. You're going to try to balance. Maybe that's all you do, but maybe you can start to straighten one leg, and you can start to straighten the other leg. Maybe you can stretch through both, but lift the sternum so you're not rounding. And then come back to center, straighten the legs, rock side to side with your legs. And we're going to get ready for Shavasana. So when you're ready, come onto the floor, onto your back. You can put your socks on. You can put whatever cover-ups you might have taken off. Come onto your back. And if there's anything, if you want to rock your legs from side to side, you want to bring your knees into your chest, whatever you feel like you may want to do. I'm going to give you a moment just to do that. And then I will talk you through relaxation. So if you have a bolster, I really suggest you can use a chair on your shins. You can take the bolster and place the bolster underneath your thighs or blankets. And once again, come into Shavasana. Let's take a few breaths here, noticing the belly rising. Nice deep breath and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Begin to soften your exhale, bringing your awareness to the back of the skull and exhale. Bring your attention to the top of the shoulders and exhale. Bring your awareness to your elbows and exhale. To your wrist and exhale. Now bring your awareness to your toes and your toe tips. Rest your awareness at the toes and the toe tips. We'll take a few breaths here. And bring your awareness from the toe tips up to the backs of the knees. And into the tailbone. Take 3 breaths here at the tailbone to let go of the buttock muscles. Notice how tension accumulates in the buttock muscles, in and around the tailbone. Creating space here to let go. And then draw your attention above the sacrum into the lower back, to the solar plexus. This is the junction box of a lot of tension. So for having a healthy spine, a healthy mind, you notice you did a lot of forward and back and side to side today. Let go here. Let go of all that you've done, all that is accumulated. And let go of what doesn't serve you here. Let it go. Exhaling. We'll take 2 more breaths here. It's a place of a lot of tension for many of us. And then travel up to the back of the heart. to the space between the shoulder blades and let go here. We know that we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders, and our shoulder blades get tight and tense from all the rounding. So moving forward and back here created more space. Breathe into that spaciousness. Breathe into the places that you hold your tension, to let it go. Move your arms if you need to create more space to open the collarbones, which will also release the shoulder blades. And then travel up to the back of the neck and rest here in the back of the neck. Notice the position of the back of the skull to release the neck and chin. And breathe. And travel up into the top of the skull and down to the center of the mind, that point behind the eyes, between the eyebrow center, deep in the skull. Rest your awareness of your breath here. And then notice, by staying here, notice the breath at the base of the nostrils and sense the coolness coming all the way up into that center of the mind. And notice the exhale, surrendering the effort. So the inhale brings your life and your vitality and your joy inward. And then we get to let go of whatever we find that we don't need, that we don't want. Just let it go. You sense the belly rising and falling. But your attention is inward, at the third eye. Just being. Just being who you are, with where you are. And on the next exhalation, draw that energy all the way down to the navel center. And begin to breathe a little bit more deeply and exhale a little bit more fully. Sensing an outline of your body as it rests, wherever it is resting this morning. And slowly and effortlessly, begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, gently stretch any way you desire, but move slowly, effortlessly. Then eventually bring your knees into your chest. Just hug yourself. Note that you gave yourself a gift for whatever you could do in this practice, whatever variation you chose to do. Maybe there were things that you didn't do, and that's okay too. Maybe you did other things during that time to stretch and to be. And then finally roll over to your side. And slowly find your way up to a seated posture on a chair, on your props, whatever you have to sit on. Close your eyes and bring your hands to prayer position or in over your heart. Bow your head gently, giving thanks as always to your mind, to your body, to your breath, and to the practice. And I want to thank you for being part of this class during this difficult time. I miss all of you. Even those of you who I don't know yet, I miss you. I want to invite you to come to class next week. And in a moment, I'm going to unplug the camera that you see now. And you can put your video back on if you wish. If you don't wish, that's okay. I will unmute you all. Namaste.